What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm bringing you more commentary from a live duel at Locals. On the right we have Melodious up against, on the left, Illusions. Now this is all post new support, so it's going to be very interesting to see what these decks can do. Melodious is kind of one of them ones that have such great new support that it's definitely something to keep your eyes on. We start off with First Movement Solo. Now unfortunately, this is the most expensive card of the entire deck. This one currently sits at like £30 a copy, but there is a very high chance that it could be reprinted as a common or another super in OTS 25. We then get to see the brand new cards. So these are both the brand new Pendulum monsters, which is absolutely insane. Not to mention Ostinato, which is basically their own version of Brand New Fusion. And of course the Orchest. I think it's called like Orchestrion or something. But the brand new cards are absolutely insane because they let you basically fuse. I'm just going to pull them up. So it is the Concerto, not Orchest, that'll be right. And then of course we have the first scale, which is the refrain. And then the other scale is the couplet. So both of them are absolutely insane, and it's a scale 1 to 9 as well. So not only can they utilize brand new fusion monsters, but they can also utilize... So the brand new fusion monster that's currently on the field is Baka. This is going to be, I would expect to be subbed off, but this one kind of provides nice form of protection. So I'm just going to try and pull up all of the cards in front of me so I can read them out to you. But Refrain, which is the first one we saw, which is currently in the left-sided scale. This one allows you to, if it is normal or special, you get to add a Melodious monster from the deck to the hand, except itself. And then if a Melodious fusion monster or monsters is special summoned to your field while this card is face up in your extra deck, you get to place it into your Pendulum Zone. Great success on that one. And then the other scale is... So its pendulum scale is you cannot pendulum summon except light monsters. Doesn't really matter, but the effect can't be negated. And then on top of that as well, is if you control no face-up monsters other than Melodious, you can add a Melodious spell or trap from your deck to the hand. Pretty broken as a scale effect. Baka basically has the inbuilt effect that its activated effects can't be negated. Now apparently it can get hit with Imperm, which is a really weird one because we think Imperm negates all of its effects, not just the negated effects. But that's only what we've been told through the grapevine, so take that with a pinch of salt. Just try and pull the backer up. So on the left-hand side, obviously, the Illusion player is going off. They've pretty much activated the Patchwork play, and that leads them down the route of getting into the brand new Nightmare Apprentice. So Bakar, while you control this fusion summon card, the activated effects of your Melodious fusion monsters cannot be negated. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you get to special summon a Melodious monster from your deck. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Melodious monster in your graveyard except itself and special summon it in defense. So I don't know why it can be stopped with Infinite Impermanence, but obviously I know why it can't be stopped with Ash, but it's a bit weird. Nightmare Magician. I'm trying to catch up here, but this is what happens. Is it Nightmare Magician? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is Nightmare Magician. But you can kind of see what's going on here. So the Nightmare Magician. No, it's not Nightmare Magician. It's Apprentice Magician, because Nightmare was the old one. So Apprentice is the brand new card as well, and it's not even Apprentice. Is it Nightmare Apprentice? I'm trying to remember what it's actually called. Nightmare Apprentice. Probably should have had these cards to my hand already. So, Nightmare Apprentice, you can special summon this card from hand by discarding one card. You can only special summon itself once per turn this way, and if it battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. If it is normal or special, you get to add an illusion monster from the deck to the hand except itself. So, at the moment, we've got Concerto in the graveyard. It looks like we're going to go with Polymerization, so we're going to hard fuse on the illusion side. This is going to get into the other Illusion Fusion monster, which isn't, which is interesting, but maybe it's because that's the only option they had, or is it because it can send, is this because it can send one from deck to grave? Just trying to see how this one's going to resolve. So this one is, funnily enough, is the new artwork for the winner mats, which looks really kind of cool. So if this card is Fusion Summon, you get to send a Beast, Fiend, or Illusion from the deck to the graveyard. What did we send on that one? Is that the Dear Bells? Stop making me search! Dear Bells, the original Sinful Keeper. So this is the other brand new card. So this one, once it wants to load, if a Sinful Spoils card is in either player's graveyard, you get to special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon it once per turn. Your opponent must set spells and traps before they activate them, and if a spell or trap becomes set on the field while this card is in the monster zone, you can target one card you control and one card your opponent controls and destroy both of them. So it's basically like an anti-spell. I'm not sure how that got to board. If a Sinful Spoils card is in either player's graveyard. Does it include itself? No, because it's a Sin Keeper. It's not a Sinful Spoils. Not sure how that got back to board. I might have missed something, but that's just kind of, again, I'm not like fully familiar with either of these two strategies at this exact moment in time. But it looks like we've basically got like a mini anti-spell set on board. Both of them being an illusion monster, or the apprentice being an illusion monster, not being able to be destroyed. So we're going to have to set one card there. Now, I believe this is the Ostinato, which is the... Oh, it's Pot Prosperity. I think he prosps into an Ostinato. But the idea is the Ostinato is just incredibly broken for this deck. So we will try and... Melodious Ostinato. Because, like... I mean, back in the day, obviously, Ostinato is not a... like, no one really cared about it until they got the new support. But, like, the fact Ostinato is not a hard one to turn is mental. Yeah, there you go, Ostinato off the top. So you control no monsters, fusion summon a Melodious fusion monster from your extra deck using 2 monsters from your hand and or deck as fusion material. During the end phase of this turn, destroy the monster fusion summon by this effect, and if you do, if all fusion materials that were used for its fusion summon are in the graveyard, you get to special summon all of them. None of those is hard once per turn, so if it's got an empty board, they can basically just fuse from hand. Now it has to be set because of the Dia Bells, and then the question is whether the Dia Bells decides to send it. So it's interesting what he's going to try and destroy here. That gets met with a Herald of the Orange Light. That's a pretty good counter. So we're going to negate and destroy the Dia Bells, which is really important. Was that a Grandmaster Tayo in the graveyard? I'm going to see if I've got my... It might be easier, rather than me just constantly Googling these effects, to see if I've actually got them to hand. Is it Tayo that brought the Dia Bells back? If this card is sent to graveyard, target an illusion monster in your graveyard, accept itself and special summon it in defense. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's why the Master Towel gets used, because that's how you can bring back the illusion monster. I like that. That's cool synergy. I mean, the Herald of Orange Light pretty much saved that there. If they didn't have that, then the Ostinato goes, and it's a quite nice little one-for-one trade. So we're going into the second Bucker. Looks like we've got a... He's going to use Concerto in the graveyard. Let's pull up the brand new Concerto once everything loads. So the Concerto is fusion summon a fairy fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, field, and or pendulum zones. If a Melodious fusion monster or monster is sent to your graveyard while this card is in the graveyard, even during the damage step, you get to place this card on the bottom of your deck and then draw a card. Hey, nice. So we're continually building up here, trying to deal with this illusion board. Obviously, the issue with the issue kind of facing the illusions at the moment, or facing the Melodious, is the illusions can't be destroyed by battle. So it's not a big issue, because I know the Melodious can set themselves up with the way of being able to bounce cards back, which is rather nasty. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. There is no Chimera fusion. The Call by the Grave on the Mirror Knight is busted beyond belief. Although, like, well, not busted, but incredibly good. It kind of helped out that board, or stop that board being built. You can only use first, second effect once. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard to target one of your banished fiends, beasts, or illusions, except yourself and special summon it. That's not bad, because it will get you the Mirror Sword Knight back. Not that Mirror Sword will do anything, because it was called by during the opponent's turn, so Mirror Sword is pretty much dead for the remainder of this turn. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. But there must be a way of being able to bounce, and I think that's what we're trying to work into here. Looking to bounce back the illusion unlocks pretty much everything you need for it. Seeing where we're going for this. So we've got the Concerto. We're going to fuse. Definitely going into... Ooh, where are we going to work our way up to? They're just trying to figure out the best to do it. So we're going to use the scale, because obviously Concerto lets you use the scale as well. Oh, we're going into the brand new one. So this is... Flowering Tolle, the Melodious Magnificent. One Melodious Maestro monster plus 2 Melodious monsters. Quick effect, you can banish until the end phase any number of Melodious monsters you control. Then you can return up to that many face-up cards your opponent controls to the hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. And if this face-up fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you get to special summon a Melodious monster from the deck or extra deck except itself. So that's a nice way of being able to bounce both if they want to. It looks like we're going into Bloom. So it gains 300 attack for each fusion material used for its fusion summon, and this card can make a second attack during each battle phase. If it's sent to the graveyard, target a Melodious monster in your graveyard and add it to the hand. So at the moment we've got 2 attacks. The new Melodious that's just been summoned will gain 600, so it's currently on 25. So 25 with 2 attacks. There is the ability to banish off of the flower, and that will then allow you to bounce cards as well. Non-target bounce is pretty good, and the fact it's a quick effect, yikes. So I'm wondering where this is going to go. Is it just cards? Creating banish into the end phase any number of Melodious. Oh, it has to be monsters. Oh, if it's Melodious cards, go on, banish the scale to the end phase. Dodge, let's go. So I mean, are we pushing for the OTK? Is that what we're trying to do here? Like, I think that's another fusion summon. I mean, constantly fusion summon is pretty good. I think this one, the one that's just been summoned, is like the triple DD Crow, which is beautiful. It just banishes, like, I think it's a quick effect to just banish free from the graveyard, which is mental. So it's just a quick effect DD Crow. Hopefully once this loads up, I'll be able to tell you. During either player's turn, you can target up to 3 cards in any graveyard, banish them, and if you do, this card gains 200 attack for each. This effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field. Okay, so it's once while it's face up on the field. But a quick effect to do so can pretty much clear out that graveyard. Gets rid of Tire and then 2 others. And then with Pendulum Summoning as well. Like, all that was done without even conducting the Pendulum Summoning. Like, this has to be game, right? We're using the Scale effect, targeting the Fusion monster. God, so much going on. Was the Scale effect. Target a Melodious Fusion monster you control, send a Melodious monster from the deck to the graveyard, and if you do, the target monster gains attack to the level of that monster sent to graveyard times 200 until the end of the turn. So it looks like there was a level 5 sent, or is it level 4? Is it level 4? Yeah, level 5 was sent, so that's another 1,000. So at the moment, that Fusion monster can attack twice at 3,500. It looks like we're going to use the Super Rare Fusion monster to bounce 2 or banish 2 until the end phase, and then that will clear off both of the monsters on the Illusion player's board. And that will then allow you to... That completes the OTK, because, like I said, the Bloom Diva gets 2 attacks, 7k. And then, yeah, so we're going to be scooping that one up. Pretty good display from Melodious on that one. Kind of really held back the Illusion player quite a bit, which is nice. Not nice to see, but it was like good to show that the Melodious can kind of hold their own. So, very interesting. So we're going to start off with the Mirror Knight. Obviously, the Call by the Grave helped out massively because it stopped the Mirror Knight being able to get into the Chimera Fusion, which would have led into the Guardian Chimera, which meant it could have popped the scales. And then on turn of that, the Herald of Orange Light to deal with the getting rid of the Ostinato, again, was massively helpful. So it'll be interesting to see where game 2 goes on this one. So starting off with Mirror Knight, no response with an Ash Blossom on that one. Get straight into the Baphomet and the Gazelle, which allows you to go into the Chimera Fusion, which is going to rip one from the hand. It looks like in that hand there was an evenly matched, a First Movement Solo, a Ostinato, and a Pot of Prosperity, sorry. So we're bringing back the Mirror Sword off of the back of the Gazelle. Very decent kind of start off of the back of these illusions. Let's see if any of the new ones come into play. I suppose you really want to get that Tire and the Diabells into rotation, because making your opponent set their cards can be pretty damaging. Like, especially if they got quick plays, they have to be set. The question is whether you hit the bait the first time. I mean, if they set a Lightning Storm and then hit you with a Lightning Storm, it's like, yikes. But then if you put all your monsters in defense, you don't really need to worry about it too much. Plus, you're going to take away 1 card from their hand. Evenly can be actually quite damaging on this one, I believe, depending on how much you do. I suppose you keep the Chimera Fusion, but even then, that's going to limit what plays you can make, because you'll only be able to use monsters from the hand. So it shuts off the Guardian Chimera straight away. And you kind of want, unless you do it preemptively, I suppose maybe you do it preemptively, or you activate it just to put the Guardian Chimera, the Chimera Illusion into the graveyard, because then you can still bring back. It also puts the Mirror Sword into the graveyard as well, so you still have that negate set up if you do go into like an Illusion Fusion rather than the Guardian Chimera. So Kotal's now in the graveyard, so we've got targeted protection, which is quite useful as well. Really depends on, are we going to see the new Apprentice Magician? There's the Diabells. So is that being added off of the back of... That's been added off of the back of the Kotal. Be interesting to see how this gets to the board. I'm not sure how it does. But then I suppose if you have Chimera Fusion, if you fuse with the Diabells and Master Tau, then Tau will bring it back. So that's kind of a cool form of interaction. Where are we going with this one? I mean, the one's getting ripped from the hand in the end phase, but that evenly matched. Obviously, you don't know that there's an evenly match there, but that is a massive game changer with the current standing on this. So there's the Chimera Fusion. It's worth using it now because you're only going to be able to recycle it next anyway. So it's a free fusion summon in sense. That looked like that was the Deer Bells and the Gazelle. So that's going to get you into the Berthamet. Oh, okay, and this is how the combo works. I got you now, I got you. So that the Berthamet is now going to send, or the new fusion, well, not new fusion, Age of Overlord fusion, is going to send the Grandmaster Tau. That will then bring back the Deer Bells, which sets up like a mini anti-spell. So that's kind of cool. Oh, we went with the Barrier statue instead. I mean, that's pretty good considering, but even then, evenly matched kind of blows this out. But then do you just stick on the statue, knowing that your opponent is locked into lights? There's not really anything they can do. I mean, they can normal summon, but... Oh, is that Super Poly as well? It is a Super Poly. So there's no Deer Bells, though. So there's no, like, sub-anti-spell in play. So we're going to rip one from the hand. How are we going to bring back, I wonder? I know the Gazelle can bring one back. But the issue is, or what you've kind of left yourself open up to, is... you've kind of left yourself open to... I mean, you don't really play around evenly matched, but draw phase you can do stuff as well. So we're going to start off with the Ostinato. Great card to start with. I mean, hit the first move at solo is pretty decent off of that. But Ostinato is still pretty strong. Evenly matched we know is there. I'm trying to think what else there is. I'm surprised that they decided not to use evenly matched. Am I kind of like missing something? So he's chaining the Mirror Sword Knight, which will get into the Berthamet, and then Berthamet will get resources. But I don't know why you wouldn't want to use evenly. There's not an Omni Negate on the board that we know. And if you do hit the evenly, you're going to blow that back row. Like, you're going to blow that board apart quite a bit. It would force the Branded Fusion, but the Branded Fusion will need to be done in the main phase. And then if you force that, not Branded Fusion, Chimera Fusion, and if you force that Chimera Fusion, did he even recycle it? Maybe I missed the recycling earlier. So the Baka can't be negated. We know there was a Super Poly there. I don't know if they set the Guardian, the Chimera Fusion or the Super Poly. But, okay, so we're going to get another Chimera Fusion and we're getting the Gazelle. The hand's pretty loaded right now. That's the one good thing that this deck can do, is it can just load the hand with loads of cool cards. Unfortunately, it's not like random draws, like a Engage, Pot of Greed style, but it's definitely selected cards that you're going to want. So it looks like we're going for the Baka. The Baka's going to try and do its plays now. I feel that not using that evenly match kind of feels like, at least at the very least, all right, yes, you lose your battle phase, but straight away, if that is a Chimera Fusion along the back row, which you would more times than not probably assume that more than a Super Poly, if you use that, I mean, there's no way that this has been read. 100%. I refuse to believe that they read a Super Poly and read that they were going to get nuked together to then evenly. There's no way in a million years. If there is, that's like next level big brain play. So we go into Agora. We're going to use Baka and the Pendulum Scale. What is happening with the Pendulum Scale? How Deer Bells get back? Ash, lol. I'm not sure how Deer Bells got back, but even then, like, the Deer Bells is kind of cool. Now it means it's set. But I still feel the loss of evenly match is a waste. I don't get it. I mean, is that a bait? It's not a bait. Oh, it was the other. And he destroyed the Garura to get a draw. Yo, big break, please. I would have set the evenly. I think that would have been a massive bait as well. Can you imagine? Set the evenly and they go, okay, send it, fearing it is something good. Played. That would have been so good. I still, again, they'll probably come back to me in the comments and be like, the reason I didn't use the evening was because of this. But I suppose you're probably, are you waiting? Are you waiting for the evening for the statue to come out? Because you know the statue's there, but even then, you'd still go back to the main phase though. Like, you would evenly force them to activate the Chimera Fusion, if that was what you would assume is along the back row, not Super Poly. And then go from there. And even with the Super Poly, you probably could have then evenly to let them eat that board. because you still haven't even used your normal summon, and you're probably going to hope on the scales. I don't know. I feel that there could have been... I don't know. I haven't played Melodious myself, but I feel having that evenly, there's a couple of chances that could have been used to bait out and interact. If it is an evenly, I could be completely wrong, but I'm 99% sure I saw an evenly in that hand. Yeah, there you go. So there's the evenly being discarded. So I feel that could have been used. I really do. I feel that could have put in so much work. Because the Chimera Fusion, like, if you go to the battle phase and they don't use the back row, then you know it's not a Chimera Fusion. And if they leave it with a Super Poly, you go, right, okay, cool, well, I know what that is. And even if it is a Super Poly, they still then want to fuse their own board away so that they get the Chimera to the graveyard. And if the Chimera never hits the graveyard, they can't then banish it to bring back the statue. So, and like I said, set the evenly, bait that out. Bosh. Big brain plays. I mean, in all fairness, Melodious is still going, so that's kind of cool. But there hasn't been... Yeah, they're scooping it up. Okay, cool. I think there's like 8 minutes left on the round. There'll be probably about 5 by the time they've sided and everything else. Okay, so we're going into game 3. I believe I've got 7 minutes left on the clock. So we're going to start off with the Ostinato. I mean, he knows what this does. I think he's just checking whether it is a hard once per turn, and that's the worst thing about Ostinato, but like the best for the Melodious player is, because it's not a hard once per turn, it's like, go on, do it, I dare you, ash me, and I'll do it again. And if I've even got a third one, I'll do it again. But the fact that they got like their own branded fusion is crazy. So we're going into Barker. Barker's going to get ashed. Can't ash it because its activated effects can't be negated, but you can imperm it. Again, really weird. Don't understand that. If anyone knows exactly why, like the only example that I could come up with is because imperm doesn't negate its activated effects. Imperm negates all of its effects. That would be my only understanding as to why a judge ruled it that it does negate it. So, but again, if I'm wrong on that, let me know. It would be very good for the Melodious players to know that, because as far as they're aware, imperm negates it. So anyway, we're carrying on. We're getting a couple of Melodious monsters onto the board, setting up a bit of a defense. Ash has been used. I'm surprised they let the Ostinato go through, but it's maybe because they read it and realised it wasn't a hard once per turn, so if they open up a second one, it doesn't really do anything. It's the exact same outcome would happen. Oh, Caught by the Grave on the Ash. Whoa, held that a while. Oh my god, he opened up Caught by game 1 and game 3. You sacky bugger. Very, very interesting on that one. So now we're powering through. We're trying to get the board built up. I suppose that's the one issue with Melodious, is they can't really do any burn damage. So you have to be quite careful if you're going first. Like, they probably don't want to be going second, especially against Illusion, where they can set up like a mini anti-spell and then also set up like the barrier statue. So you got to be a little bit careful on that one. Going into the brand new Bloom, so this is going to give the quick effect to bounce and dodge. This gives them the ability to dodge Nibiru, which is really cool because you can banish your entire board. And then because Nibiru doesn't tribute anything, Nibiru never summons. Great success. Carrying on with the plays on this one, looping back some of the Melodious resources, trying to play as fast as they possibly can within reason, because if time gets called, they know they're at a disadvantage. There's no way. I think they're locked into lights or they're locked into fairies or something along the way. So there's no way you're getting a cowboy into play. Going for the Crescendo. Crescendo is then going to fuse with 2, using one of them as the scale. Great success. Getting into the quick effect DD Crow. Yeah, fair enough. So we now have a banish to dodge Nibiru, banish to dodge kind of destruction on the board. Getting the scales back as well, plus a quick effect DD Crow that can be utilised during your opponent's turn, which straight away will deal with stuff like Mirror Knights, and will also help you deal with any kind of graveyard floating. So the Diabells, the Grandmaster Tau as well can be quite useful. So a very decent defensive board. I suppose the only weakness on this one is not putting that fusion monster in the extra monster zone in defense unless they're going to use it for something. As it's the only opening one. And keep in mind as well, the DD Crow monster, the one that he's put 2 of on the board, they're not hard once per turns. Like, they're once per turns while it's face up on the field. But if you have 2 of them, you can use both of them. So it technically has a 6 DD Crow. Yikes. So are we going to try and push in for damage? There is approximately about 4 minutes left on the clock. See how this works down, maybe a little bit less. But to deal with technically 2 DD Crows worth of up to 6 monsters and the ability to dodge like an entire board wipe. So if a Dark Hole hit the board, I mean, if you hit a Dark Hole or Raigeki and they dodge it, you're still in trouble. But I'm pretty sure there's a bit of protection there. Ash, you can't Ash. So we're going to catch this in a minute. You actually can't Ash because it is under their own Call by the Grave from the previous turn. A lot of people forget that. A lot of people go Call by the Grave and then go Ash. And it's like, you can't because you're under your own Call by. So that gets fixed there. Something to keep in mind on. Carrying on through the Mirror Sword Knight, this is going to get you into the Yourplaymat. Yourplaymat's going to get you into Gazelle and the Chimera Fusion. Such a great card, that one. It's just a shame that it's at level 5, because that's the only downside of it, is that it can brick your hand up a little bit. But to get into it is, yeah, great success. And I think it's relatively balanced as well. So the Moon Knight being able to get into it, it uses up your normal summon, which I think kind of fares out. If it was like a way of doing this without even conducting your normal summon, and it locks you into fusions as well. So going for the Chimera Fusion, I mean, surely you just have to push for damage, right? Is there damage can be taken? Unless I'm missing something that says they can't be, or that you don't take battle damage. But I'm just going to double check that there's nothing. Again, players that play Melodious more than me will know exactly if that is the case. Quick effect, banish until the end phase any number of Melodious. You can only use each effect once per turn. Face off shooting cards leaves the cause of an opponent's card. Special summon a Melodious monster from your extra deck. I mean, it's currently on 28, so it is relatively strong. So to try and kill that is going to be asking a task. Is there... what else is on the board? I'll have a look at the DD Crow ones in a minute. Don't want the flowering. We want... nah, not that one. So still kind of building up. I'm trying to see if the scales have any form of protection. So you can target Melodious Fusion once you control, send a Melodious from the deck to the graveyard, gains attack. So one busts attack, one doesn't. Is it until the end of the next turn? No, until the end of this turn, otherwise that would have been really good. So I suppose we're just trying to get above 28 to get damage on board. We're now starting to race against the clock with only 2 minutes left, maybe a little bit less. I don't see any kind of damage protection. So I'm not sure. Definitely playing defensively. There's no quick effects that I can see apart from the DD Crows. I think it's just 3 cards as well, so you can get rid of the Chimera Fusion, because I suppose what you probably want to do is bring back the Chimera Fusion and go from there. So there's adding the Nightmare Apprentice. Nightmare Apprentice can obviously special summon itself down, which is pretty good. The other issue is you can't get into any link monsters or anything, so it's trying to get that... you're trying to get the damage in. But I suppose as well, actually, I take that back, because it technically could dodge, is it could just banish itself, and then there is no damage to be taken, which could be quite useful. It can return all the monsters to the hand as well, I suppose. So normal summon's already been conducted. I suppose the careful thing about this is if there is a fusion in the hand, you can't really bounce those 2 monsters. Because if you bounce those 2 monsters and there's a fusion in the hand, that will lead you to a monster on the board that can just swing into an empty board. The other way is you can just bounce those 2 monsters, bounce 2 of yours without using the DD Crow effect, and then go from there. So there's the Chimera Fusion. So we've now pulled that out. Once this resolves, surely you're going into the Guardian Chimera, right? Like, that would make the most logical sense. What are we doing here? So, oh, second Chimera Fusion. I'm confused on this one. So we're resolving the chain backwards. Chimera Fusion gets into the Yourplaymat. Okay, the Yourplaymat, the big bat guy, will make it all 0-0. Now it's non-target, so it will return that fusion monster, right? Doesn't target, so it can't negate unless there is a Mirror Sword in the grave. Time's been called anyway. I suppose it would bounce it. I mean, it's give and take. It is give and take. I suppose they were both trying to get there to the damage, but that's the issue. When you're comboing off for so long, that you're obviously going to be at a disadvantage when the other side, it can also combo quite well. I don't think there was anything more that could have been done. Like, there was 2 Guardian or Chimera Fusions in the hand. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.